Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there, so please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money, so check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try to make your world a little weirder. I'm Nile.
And I'm Kyle, and today everything hurts.
Everybody hurts sometimes.
Sometimes,
Kyle.
yeah, sometimes. I have been, I don't know what it is. This week, I have been just really feeling my age, 33 years old. I'm waking up, my feet hurt, my joints hurt, and I've been, what's driving me crazy is I like exercise. I go on walks. I do things to try to mitigate that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm learning is that when you're in your 30s, the amount of damage that just sitting at a computer all day. I do all my work on my computer. I do all my hobbies on my computer. It's all day I'm here pretty much.
Yeah.
The damage that does is incredible. So I guess this is just a little PSA to everybody out there. Go ahead and get up, walk away from the computer, go do literally anything else. It's going to help with your mental health. It's going to help with your physical health, hopefully. It's going to help with a lot of things. And then you can come back and you can, queue up your favorite pornography and jerk off. Get that done in like 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, you're going for the fast
and then
mode.
move
Okay.
on.
Just a quick
Yeah, well,
jerk.
you might as you don't want to belabor the point.
And I guess if you're already dealing with like carpal tunnel-y type stuff, then maybe you kind of gotta get in and out on that one and not really spend time luxuriating in the jerk.
That's true, but it might be kind of I don't know anything about wrist health and carpal tunnel how to deal with that issue. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. I bet jerking off with your carpal tunnel hand, that's got to count for something.
You gotta think so, right?
Gets you moving,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like my opening, being 33 sucks and also jerk off, but don't use the computer for anything else. That's kind of my opening bit. I don't know. Did you have a follow-up?
I mean,
bit? 'Cause
here's the thing. It really, you kind of, we can really work with this vis-a-vis what I have prepared for us today. Like this works for me.
Okay.
So talking about health, talking about healing, talking about all those things, because I don't know if do we have an email or anything that we need to do before I launch into this?
We do have an email, but you've successfully tantalized me because I feel like we're about to talk about a kind of thing that we haven't talked about on this show in a minute, so I'm excited. Let me just read this email to you real quick so that we can dive into it. This is from Alex. And they say, "G'day, Kyle and Nile." Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this an Australian listener?
Yeah, I think this is a bit of an Aussie.
This is an Australian listener. I'm very excited. Alex from Down Under. I've written to you blokes a couple of years ago. That's another tell that they're an Australian bloke.
Yeah.
You like, when's the last time you heard an American earnestly use the word bloke? I don't think I've ever heard it, actually.
I can't think of one. I can only really think of British and Australian people using it.
Joking aside, I really, really want to visit Australia someday. That would be a
great.
Fun trip. That would be.
However, if I see any of their spiders that are there, the big ones, I will die immediately.
That's I understand that. I have heard that you're typically not going to see things like that in the more populated spaces in Australia. That's only if you're out in the bush, out in the the outback, I think, right? Like maybe Alex can write in again and confirm, but Alex says on episode 465, which is Maureen Putty, which she was an Australian alien UFO experiencer, maybe abductee, sort of. It says, you said you didn't know how Australian states work. This is true. I did admit this on my podcast. Well, it's quite simple. Each state and territory has a capital, just like the U.S., but we have shires instead of counties. So just like The Hobbit, I guess. And just to help you guys out, Melbourne. Okay, I know. I see what this is saying. I don't know. I'm gonna say this. And I have a sort of similar experience in my life that I can relate to this, but I don't know. I still don't know. Even though, Alex, you're telling me how to pronounce this, I don't know if it's going to come out sounding right. But Alex says Melbourne is pronounced Melbourne, and I like
you really
I get what
the R.
Yeah, I get
All
what they're saying, but I still think with my American accent, that's not coming out right.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of when I long ago, years ago, I went to Scotland, and everybody made sure to tell you it is not Edinburgh, it's Edinburgh.
Yeah, Edinburgh.
You have to pronounce it Edinburgh, or they'll, give you a funny look. So I see what you're saying. I think that regardless of how I pronounce it, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Alex. Or if you really want to sound like a true blue country Victorian such as myself, you'll say Malbon.
Melbourne. Okay.
Malbon. But your pronunciation of Ballarat in episode 455, which was hilarious, by the way, was spot on. Anyways, I'll stop lecturing you on Australian place names. Also, since I wrote to you a few years back, I just want to let you know that your podcast has helped me get through a few tough years, which was the result of a divorce. But don't worry, I've rebuilt my life with a lovely new woman. I almost misread that and said rebuilt my wife, which, can you imagine the Freudian slip? My God.
Yeah.
And a new house currently being built. Please keep up the good work. I love hearing your familiar voices each week with a new episode. Cheers, Alex. Alex, thank you. That was a very kind email.
Thank you.
I do appreciate getting pronunciation help because as an American, I most of the time I'm just barrel through saying it wrong. It's very much the way we do things here. So but like I said though, looking at your instructions and knowing what you're saying doesn't help my voice match up to that any better.
Yeah, you need someone to inhabit your vocal cords
yes.
to work it out for you.
Yes, I need to be possessed by some sort of Australian spirit.
The ghost of Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. It's such a shame that he died the way he did. It was, he died badly, is what I'm saying. So, Nile, what have you got for me this week?
Okay, Kyle. So this much like a lot of my the theme of my episodes lately is what do I not know enough about that I should know?
I like it.
So today I took a dive into this. Literally, this literally started from a conversation with Jules where I forget exactly how we got into it, but the concept of crystals came up, and we were trying to figure out when neither of us could reasonably pull when the idea of crystal healing became a thing in the kind of new age sense, because all these things seem to claim to come from eons previous. They seem to have these long histories that are steeped in ancient civilizations who knew something we didn't, and we're just transmitting those things from the past into modern age. And so I took it upon myself to look into the concept of crystal healing, along with its history and when the modern version of it came to be.
Okay, this is going to be an interesting one for me. So, first of all, my dad is a geologist.
Yeah. I do know that.
I have my dad has like excavated actual minerals that you would find, polished and sold at like, a metaphysical store, whatever the fuck that is. You would find that I've been to places like that where it's just like, oh, that's amethyst. Oh, nice. It's like, so that's like, it almost touches like on a personal nerve, the crystal thing, because I grew up around that, and my dad would talk about the science of those things, none of which includes, this will tap into your root chakra and heal, colorectal cancer, right? Like, that's just like, it's one of those things that I can't, I struggle to, like, I've heard people bring up the crystal thing in front of me, and I keep my mouth shut because I simply can't entertain the idea. But
this is why
I will.
This is why I figured I would take this topic on, because I while I also don't believe in crystal healing, I don't have like a personal axe to grind with the concept. So I figured that it would be a good chance for me to fill in gaps in my knowledge that I think, much like we were talking about how neither of us knows enough about tarot reason. Oh, wait, no.
Sure.
Man, we don't do this out of order that often.
That's an upcoming episode.
Spoilers. So it's basically like I've really enjoyed recently trying to tackle these like gaps in my knowledge, where a thing is pervasive and all over the place, and I don't know enough about it to feel like I could actually, because I don't know if this probably happens to you as well, where once your family or whoever knows you do this podcast, they'll just come to you with any weird thing they come across, and they just expect you to have, and like I could not do that with crystal healing in any real way. So I decided to look into it.
Okay. I'm curious. I mean, I have my suspicions of where this stuff comes from, but I'll be curious what you found. I do think that there's a tendency in a lot of New Age stuff, and a lot of New Age stuff where it's the return mentality, but RETVRN, the trad cath mentality, but for like spiritual reasons, where it's like we must return to these old ideas, and yes, that includes outdated ideas of medicine that have no basis in reality, no scientific basis whatsoever. I don't know why. Because the thing that always drives me nuts about stuff like this is people will just tell you that it can heal this or that. There is, and they have just no. It turns out you can just say whatever you want.
Oh yeah,
more than ever before. You can just say whatever you want, but it has no basis in reality, and that doesn't stop anybody from just like getting crazy into it. Whatever.
Yeah, look, I'll not to like deflate everything to begin with. As far as I can tell, the concept as we know it of crystal healing dates back to approximately the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
That is now there's people that will try to put it back to the 40s. There are also people who will try to link it to stuff dating all the way back to like, Pliny the Elder is somebody you'll see name checked in a lot of stuff because he wrote a book that talks about like gems as kind of a metaphorical thing, if I understand correctly. And there was some kind of symbolic significance of certain gemstones in ancient cultures, which we'll talk more about here. But like largely when you talk about the modern concept of like New Age crystals and crystals as a part of this healing stuff, you're really only talking about, if I'm being generous, to like the turn of the 1970s. More really the late 70s, early 80s. Okay. And we'll find out more about that in a little bit here. Because even the early...
It's funny to know that it's around that time period, because like 60s it's not that long ago, but like also it makes perfect sense with, the sort of hippie movement stuff. But And like that's where a lot more of the new age ideas I think start to spread for a number of different reasons. But it's like you're still just like talking in the context of like, well, my particular humor is out of balance, and so let me apply some quartz to that. It's like I don't know. It's sorry. I don't need to just rail on that.
What's
forever,
fun
but...
is that like even though it only started around then, there is still so little consensus on how it works, practicalities,
right, because...
like methodology and stuff, because it is, whole cloth created by people. So,
does this go back to like alchemy or something like that? Like, I don't actually understand like what alchemy. Literally, my only understanding of alchemy is as it was sold to me through anime. Okay, I don't know how that actually functioned historically.
Alchemy is not 100%. That's not where I would trace it to exactly.
Okay.
There is some stuff in the Middle Ages. We'll talk. I have a whole sectioned out from like ancient Sumeria up until the modern era here. So we'll get into that in a second. But let's start off by just answering the basic question. If you like, we're dealing in I'm gonna just call it we're dealing in kayfabe for a little bit here. This is what crystal healing is for people who believe in it. It is a type of they call it complementary and integrative medicine, basically meaning that it is usually used in conjunction with other things. It's a complement to other methods. It doesn't fix everything on its own, and it has a focus on holistic healing and positive energies. Practitioners will utilize various gemstones in non-invasive ways by either placing them on or around people to alleviate and remove negative energies and to enhance overall positivity and wellness. Various techniques are used, and to varying degrees of intensity, I guess. Like you can do everything from like just meditating while holding or placing crystals around you, all the way up to like making these geometric crystal grids that are like aligning and amplifying energies. This is where you get those like triangular things that we see in like a lot of new age like meditative things. When you meditate in those like triangle dome things?
Yes. I do that every day. Yes, of course.
Yeah. But you can also just like wear crystals to have more of a passive buff on yourself, Mm-hmm.
3 strength, 3 stam crystal belt.
Yeah. You can also just place crystals around your environment to kind of ward off energies and create a positive and harmonious atmosphere. There are certain types of crystal elixirs, which are made by effectively charging water with charged crystals. Now, not all. I do like that even the sites that like most sites that talk about crystal elixirs will make a note to say this can't be done with all minerals and gems because some do contain toxic things.
Oh, sure.
So like be careful which ones which crystal tea you're making. Yeah. So, and then there's the big one that I think you are probably most thinking of when it comes to crystal healing is the chakra balancing crystal stuff, where you're placing various crystals on points on the chakras of your body to restore balance and harmony in your chakras.
Okay. That's this is now I am curious if you have any, any info for me on JO crystal type stuff, like crystals that we did talk about masturbation up front today.
Yeah, I specifically wasn't looking into sex magic in this episode, because we did that a while ago, and also like this type of crystal healing isn't really in the same realm as that for the most part.
Really?
Like there is crossover, don't get me wrong, but like it's not a 1-to-1,
Okay.
It's two different sects of the like all crystal healers aren't all going to be into sex magic, and all sex magic practitioners aren't going to be into actual full-on crystal healing.
Sure. I would just assume that there was crossover. It's sort of like how there's crossover between the famous JO crystal like Craigslist post guy and the best oegamiam make you squirt guy. Like they're kind of like there's a crossover there between those two that I feel is metaphysical, and I would have assumed there's a bit of a crossover here as well. But I mean, so I wasn't trying to paint, every crystal user as a, jerk off energy person. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, there's a very infamous internet picture of a guy who wears a crystal around his neck, and he charges the energy of that crystal by cranking shaft like fucking crazy, just absolutely going to town on his dick and balls, is my understanding. And that's, again, it does come from a real concept, which you mentioned, sex magic, but this is kind of taken to a pretty wild internet meme place, I guess.
Yeah, it's a bit irreverent, So, like I said, the concept that if you in the kayfabe of crystal healing, these practices date all the way back to ancient Sumeria, when as early as 4000 BCE, there's some of the earliest documentation of using crystals and gemstones as parts of healing rituals in ancient Sumeria and Mesopotamia. They would use things like softer crystals such as gypsum and hematite to make seals on cylinders that could be inscribed with then images and phrases in cuneiform. And these seals would kind of mark important events like births and marriages and various religious ceremonies. And these seals that are all inscribed and everything were thought to have protective properties and would be placed in temples for these ceremonies. So as you're seeing here, this is not specifically healing. This is kind of protection, magic, ritual stuff, but people will kind of trace that back to a thing that you will find in researching this. The thing that I found kind of charming is that the people will write these very vague references that as long as they can conjure up an image of like some ancient person holding a crystal, they will be like, this is a practice we use to this day, and it has nothing, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the actual historical thing these people were doing. Because I didn't find any of the stuff we talked about up above with the different types of crystal healing. I couldn't find ancient Sumerians doing those things. They just used gemstones for various purposes and rituals, which is like what most civilizations have done throughout history.
It really strikes me as the myth, sort of how we mythologized like the history of people believing in flat Earth, right? Yeah. Where you're told it's kind of like passively accumulated in people's minds that, oh yeah, we believed in flat Earth, that like humanity believed in that for like clear up until like only like maybe 200 years ago or whatever, right? That's simply not true. We've known, like they've like humanity has been able to prove to itself that the Earth is not flat, and has known that for a very since maybe almost ancient times, right? Like,
yeah, I think ancient Greece,
Greece, yeah, which makes sense. So it's just like, I don't know, what do you suppose the allure is of just wholeheartedly believing in an idea that's so long outdated, that we have we have cuneiform tablets we have to tap into. Like, why is that? Why is that appealing to people? Maybe you have that answer. Maybe you don't.
I mean, I can only guess, but I think that the concept of dying, is incredibly scary to people and hard to reckon with.
Oh. Okay.
And I mean, yeah. Hey, maybe you're built different.
Yeah, maybe.
And I don't know if this is the funniest answer, but I legitimately believe this. I think that there's a level of kind of disenfranchisement in the social systems of the day, and a lot of people, like dating back to around this New Age time even, and people try to reckon with that, and they people are so willing to, instead of confronting the actual problems in the systems that we live in, they try to go around it and find these hidden truths that make them special to know about. And so it's this kind of, a belief system born out of disenfranchisement that people then will cling to like a religion, to save them when they don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that they believe that other things would.
Yeah, I think you put that very I think that you said that very well, actually. Because, like, there is life is sort of inherently mysterious, right? Like, there's just aspects of it that you just, like, if you go down questioning certain things about life and existence, you get real existential with it. You can reach a point where you feel like you don't have answers. And, And you can sort of also, there's like a mysterious vibe to like ancient stuff and ancient religion and all this stuff. And you can just sort of like look to that as providing some sort of sense of structure or meaning to your life as well. So I guess what I'm saying is I think that you said that very well. And I would also add that, the mysteries are also like a way to drive people to some esoterica that like provides structure and meaning and makes life make a little more sense than it actually does.
And also, I do think people like to buy things. Like, people like to engage in like I think there is a kind of drive to collect, even if it's not purchasing, even if it's like there's a drive to kind of have certain things.
Yeah.
And crystals are you can make the case that they're like, if you can make the case that they're helping you, that's one thing, but they're also pretty and they're also like kind of cool looking and interesting. And so so I think it's a very appealing thing. Like it's like birds going for shiny shit to build their nests. Like, it's
100%. And like to tack on even more of my whole life is mysterious thing. It's like you have these naturally occurring geometric structures in minerals, in crystals and stuff. And that in itself is a mysterious thing. It feels unreal almost. It's like you're coming into contact with the sublime by like just looking at a crystal, because it's like this formed naturally. There's like this mathematical structure under everything, and that, or at least it feels that way, or you can, there's a sense of mystery. There's a sense, and I agree. People like to collect things. I have a big stupid toy shelf behind me right now. Next to a big stupid bookshelf that's full of books that I've collected. There is something to it's like it's almost ritual to again just make meaning of things that are confusing and strange.
Yeah.
So we got a little philosophical here today. I guess I didn't really expect that.
I mean, I think it's part and parcel for this kind of stuff, because anytime we're looking at these, because crystal healing is an alternate belief system. It is something that people are turning to when they don't feel taken care of by traditional medicine, most likely. And I do think that like a lot of that stuff, I think it's very easy to mock that. I do find crystals like to be not a super effective thing for me. And everything I found, any scientific study that you can find, will come down on the idea that it is entirely a placebo effect. All of these things are a placebo effect, but also the placebo effect can make you feel better.
Sure. I agree. And I want to be, because like I'm definitely...
We're going to make jokes on this podcast. So don't get me wrong.
No, I totally. The tragedy comes when you have somebody who is applying a quartz, like a ruby quartz, to various parts of their body to heal cancer. It's like, that's where
or they're going to someone to have it done to them to heal their cancer and paying a lot of money for this person to do it.
Even worse layers. Yeah, exactly. That's the tragedy of a lot of these alternative medicine things, just
it's preying on people who need help. So back to the yucks. The biggest one that people will point to in terms of where these things started, much like every other, well, a lot of other beliefs in this kind of realm, is ancient Egypt.
Yeah, of course.
This is where you start getting certain gemstones aligned with certain of the polytheistic deities of Egyptian culture to create this kind of. I think that's where the kind of diversification of the different crystals having different properties kind of came from. If I had to, that's me guessing. It's not a historical fact, but you start to get, people who are kind of pointing at one certain god as they're worshiping that god in Egypt would wear certain royal ladies would wear lapis lazuli, which is associated with Isis.
Mm-hmm.
There started to be this kind of specialization of this gemstone is for this being, and this being has their domain is the sky, and so that means the lapis lazuli is tied to the sky.
Also, to keep the theme of Australia running in this podcast, I do believe lapis lazuli is one of it might be the last gem that Leaf has to collect in the original Deltora Quest series. I think
that's correct.
I think that's correct. So shouts out Emily Rada, my favorite book series from when I was a child, the Australian author.
I didn't know she was Australian.
Yeah,
That's
Australia.
cool.
And I think that those books are even bigger in Australia, as I understand it. But
Okay.
I think of those. I think of the Scholastic Book Fair. I think of those books. So
Yeah, I bought a lot of those. It was that, and there's a series called Broken Sky that I read.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
A lot of. Anyway, riding wyverns and shit.
I hope that our Australian listeners popped for Deltora Quest, because I pop anytime it's mentioned. It's deeply ingrained in me.
Do you think there's any podcast out there in 2025 that brings up Deltora Quest more than us?
Probably not. Not. I think we're maybe the biggest Deltora Quest fans talking on podcasts today. I might be wrong though. To be fair, there is a whole thing now of adults who are into young adult
YA fiction.
YA fiction, and I have to imagine those people are also just going what was good over let's reach into the past and find stuff to get into. And
so what you're saying is after this podcast I should go on TikTok and search Deltora Quest and see what
honestly
the kids are talking about.
If you did that, I would love to get a report back.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did that? Okay. Anyway.
No, wait. Did you have a question about Deltora Quest? Because I might be able to talk to you about it.
Did there ever? Wasn't there an animated series?
Yes,
at some point?
There was an anime. I don't really know why. I couldn't give you any specific reason, but for whatever reason,
there's kind of a
Deltora
pipeline
Quest
between Japan and Australia
popular.
for some reason.
And I think that I remember reading a story that I think Emily Rada and her grandkid, she would watch anime with her kid or her grandkid, and so somewhere in there an anime series was created, and I think there's a manga too. And the series went on so much longer. I only read up to because I was a kid. I only read up to I want to say the Dragons of Deltora series, and
that's where I left off.
Yeah,
too.
and by the time the next series was coming out, I was a little too old for those books. But anyways,
yeah, I was on to fucking Aragon bullshit.
And Keys to the Kingdom, Garth Nix.
Yeah,
I loved that shit. Anyways.
I read the fuck out of another Garth Nix book called Shade's Children.
I didn't read. It was Shade's Children. That wasn't was that Sabriel?
No.
Or am I thinking of
Sabriel, Iriel, and a Porson, I think, is the last one.
Porson, yes.
That's a separate series.
Okay.
How many fucking YA fucking novels from the late 90s, early 2000s can we drop over the course of one podcast?
That's a good question. I mean, my Deltora Quest was one of my main things, but so was a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah. Did you ever?
Super into that.
So when I was a kid, the way I got a Nintendo 64 was that my brother and I both had to read 100 books over a summer or something. or like a year. I forget the time frame. It was something relatively reasonable, and I was a very fast reader. But like, so it's all these books are like tied with me this like summer where I was trying to like power through as many books as I could to get a Nintendo 64. Did you ever do anything like that?
I feel like we were incentivized by our parents in some way to read, but I don't remember what specifically. I think one of the things didn't. I just feel like I had, so like my elementary school had programs that incentivized reading too, and I think my parents also did stuff like that. I don't think I maybe got like a game or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But I also was like a voracious I loved reading
Same.
when I was young. I was super into it. So
I used to get yelled at for trying to read during class and like reading in the hallways and stuff. I was that kid that would always be like walking with a book and like headphones on through the hallways.
Yep, I was the same. I would read in class and draw in class, and both things got me in trouble. But I'll never forget my middle school history teacher who like pulled me out of class and was like, "Hey, you're I understand that maybe drawing helps you. So like if you feel that drawing, I don't know why I'm telling this story. This in retrospect should have really like clued me into some of the, ADD shit I got going on, where they were like, you can draw if this is the only teacher who ever did this, and I like kudos to her. She was like, you can draw if you feel that it will help you stay focused in class. And it actually worked, and my grades improved because I no longer felt like I was on the verge of getting in trouble in that class for constantly drawing things. And that was like the best grade I had that year was in that class.
Adaptive. Look, learning styles are a real thing, and the American school system doesn't do enough to accommodate for that. And we let a lot of children down.
Yeah.
No joke to that. It's just true.
No, it's kind of funny, but like not in like a ha-ha way, but in a sort of like a sad way, I guess. So maybe somebody out there listening got a ha-ha funny out of that.
So, ancient Greece is the next kind of touch point for crystal history. Christery, that's where the word crystal comes from, the Greek word kristallos, meaning ice. The ancient Greeks supposedly believed that clear crystals such as quartz were eternal ice sent down from the heavens, and so that kind of imparted it with some sort of kind of mysticism to it.
Is that a kayfabe thing, or a thing that actually seems to be true?
I think that here's the thing. I don't know if that is like so there's beliefs where there's like symbolic writings that are dealing in kind of this like, symbolism and metaphor and everything that people will take literally. There's a lot of like biblical literalism reading of history when it comes to this kind of stuff, where they're just like, this flowery language has to be literal,
Sure.
And I think there's some of that here, but I do think that there was some like analogous stuff between, like, I think there is that stuff does exist in Greek mythology.
Yes.
It just isn't. I'm not certain that it was an actually literal held belief of everybody.
Sure. Okay. I can understand that. I will say, though, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a relatively common belief, because the like ancient Greek thinkers, those sons of guns, loved math, especially geometry.
Yeah.
And what better way to represent geometry in nature than a crystal?
Yeah. Like, and this is where you come into like, Pliny the Elder and stuff.
Sure.
Did some people claim he did the first like research into crystals in a way that the stuff I was reading about that didn't feel like that's what he was actually doing. It felt a lot more kind of symbolic and stuff than that, but take that as you will. I'm not a Pliny the Elder scholar. And then, of course, much like a lot of other places, we will try to bring the Native American tribes into this, because they supposedly they do have this reverence for the natural world, and they crystals are part of the spiritual connection and healing in some certain tribes and stuff. Yet again, this is the kayfabe belief. I don't know. I didn't do like. I think that there's going to be a lot more crystal episodes in the future because I found stuff. There's stuff about like Lemurian crystals and Atlantis crystals and like even different types of crystal healing and a lot of interesting figures. Like, I think that this is a well I will come back to. So anything that I'm kind of glossing over is probably going to be covered in depth more in the future.
I'm honestly, I'm glad that you're going to become the crystal guy for It Gets Weird, because I don't think I have it in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, okay, actually here, we'll end on this one for this little section of the episode. I have this is most sites don't bring this one up, but so a lot of different sites will have different eras of history and different peoples from history that they will try to tie into the actual history of crystal healing. Mm-hmm. And one of them actually did pull Australia. So let's talk about Australia.
Hell yes.
The Aboriginal people of Australia have this concept called dream time. It's this dream time mythology where there's this kind of spiritual realm where knowledge and spirits and stories all come from. And supposedly crystals such as opal and quartz would hold power and ancestral wisdom and be used to kind of commune with this dream time. So that's yet again, that's not really healing, but it is crystals being used in a spiritual sense. So we'll tie in, we'll tie in Australia here since we have an Australian listener confirmed.
Yeah, at least one. I think we've gotten in contact with like one other Australian at one point. I think.
Yeah, and we have a map. Like the map, it's wild how many countries people listen to this podcast in. I was baffled last time I looked.
Yeah.
So shouts out to all of you people across the world that are bringing It Gets Weird to like Baltic states and shit.
Yeah. Hey, all the people who would typically be listening from America, I know we're a little deep in the episode, but if you're from America, I need you to shut this episode off right now. This is for anybody outside of the United States. This goes out to everybody else. This message, if you're an American, do not listen to this, okay? I'm telling you right now, this is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that the Americans are gone, except for you and me, Nile, between you and me and the rest of the world outside of America, how's it going?
Oh, it's great. It's
No, Nile, not you.
Not me?
This is me addressing.
I can't
outside.
answer that.
No.
God damn it.
This is here's what actually now I'll instruct you on what I need you to do. I'm going to say how's it going again.
Mm-hmm.
And this is sort of like this is for me. This is a podcasting equivalent to sending the gold record into outer space. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is going to go to everybody outside of the podcast. So I'm gonna say how's it going again, and I'm going to need you to give like a moment of silence where we can have the symbolic response that that like a listener could imagine is there from the rest of the world outside of America.
Well, let me set this empty chair down on the middle of the stage.
Leave the door open for Elijah
with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So real quick. Okay. Just allow me this. How's it going? Okay, and we can come back in now.
Cool.
And I'm just going to let that sort of, wash over the non-Americans who are now... I don't know what...
Look, here's the thing. I think that this is one of those things where if you had bailed on this bit immediately, it would have been bad. But the fact that you actually held to it and you held to your guns, I think it worked out. I think it was worth doing.
Thank you for saying so because... Yeah, I agree. It's now really good. So, so
landmark bit, top of the year, gonna go in the highlight reel we make every year. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about kind of the the mystical ancient origins of this whole thing. Let's talk about the actual thinkers and movers and shakers that brought about the concept of crystal healing in the modern era. Like I said, we really only have to go back as far as about the 60s and the 70s. And there's a couple there's a couple waves. So some of the earliest figures in terms of the creation of the idea of crystal healing in the modern era are people such as Edgar Cayce.
I was just thinking about Edgar Cayce because I want to do an episode on that guy. But
Hey,
sorry, go ahead.
We can maybe we'll figure out a way to tag team his crystal beliefs and his other beliefs, because he has a very specific type of crystal belief, which I will talk about in a second. But he and another guy named Marcel Vogel are two of the early thinkers that people will point to as doing research into crystals and the kind of development of crystal healing as a concept. And then you start getting books about crystal healing and stuff. So some of the early books that kind of defined what crystal healing is are people such as Judy Hall, Katrina Raphael, and someone named Melody, which is, of course, they're like, shaman name.
Yeah.
And Melody is largely has maybe had the biggest footprint of these people. She has written like 7 books on the subject, starting in 1991, I think was her first text, and a lot of the kind of crunchy new age crystal people stuff comes from, she's kind of the blueprint for a lot of that stuff. However, Katrina Raphael is actually cited by Carl Sagan as being responsible for the modern popularity of crystals in his book The Demon Haunted World.
Oh.
So if you ask Carl Sagan, Katrina Raphael is kind of responsible for it. But I think that the blueprint is more Melody since then.
Yeah.
So let's talk real quick about these people and what some of their stuff is, kind of their importance of these things. Edgar Cayce is where we're going to start, because he is, as far as I can tell, one of the earliest people that actually had some idea that crystals could have some sort of properties for interacting with the human body.
He's the sleeping prophet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and he got really into channeling these things. He wrote a lot about the Atlanteans' use of crystals. So to him, we are taking the belief from the Atlanteans, not these other ancient cultures that I was talking about earlier. So the Atlanteans used crystals to make these to channel rays of the sun to be turned into crystals that would connect with the internal parts of the earth. So it's this whole thing that the crystals are connecting energy between the cosmos and the earth itself. And the magnetic properties of these crystals allow them to radiate more energy than they take in. And so the Atlanteans actually use these crystals as an energy source, to power stuff and magnify energy, which, as you can tell, isn't really healing.
That's true. That's true.
But then, these crystals, when they have this energy charged up, can be used for other purposes. He started to do a lot of research into crystals and water, and because Edgar Cayce has a lot of stuff about diet and water as this force, and so his stuff is dealing with directing energies and positive stuff through these gemstones that you wear, and also using that in combination with hydrotherapy and stuff, to kind of channel energies to heal the body effectively.
Okay. I can see how that could become the idea.
And what's funny is that the other guy that is Marcel Vogel, who is the other guy that's thought of as doing some of the earliest research into crystals and stuff, also is dealing with water. Him even more so. His whole thing is purification and energy fields in water and crystals, and so you're so Marcel Vogel is another one that we'll do an episode on this guy, but I'll give you a brief. He started out as he created types of luminescent paint that were then patented and sold, and so his first business of note was luminescent paints for construction and roads and very utilitarian things. He then sold that off, joined IBM, and started to work on. He was one of like the people in about 1984. He joined IBM, and he worked in like the matrices for the like structure of like data storage devices and stuff.
Okay.
So he has he had this whole thing, this whole idea of like subtle forces that he came around to, which are effectively like energies that are too small to be detected from like modern. Basically, it's energies that we couldn't detect that you could then turn into woo-woo stuff. And so he got fascinated with that as he was working on this stuff for IBM, and left to, after 27 years at IBM, to create his own laboratory called Psychic Research, Inc., where he was looking into the effects of crystals and water and these various subtle forces and stuff that he was really fascinated with. And he spent the last 17 years of his life doing that.
Here's a nice trick you can do with water. Go pour yourself a nice glass of it and take a big fucking crisp sip.
Yeah.
That's something I like
I think
to do
that's
with
more
water.
healing to...
Yeah.
I think
Very
that's more
healing.
healing than a lot of these crystal things,
Yeah,
honestly.
I-
Taking a big ol'... Let me try that out.
Oh shit! I wish I could join you, but I'm actually fresh out of my magical healing liquid. Water.
I just emptied mine too, so I guess I have to subsist only on the rest of this ginger beer that I'm sipping on.
Well, if you want to, actually replicate the healing effects of water, you could just take a nice sulfur crystal. Take 2 sulfur crystals and kind of place them both on roll your pant legs up, get those thighs nice and exposed, and put a small sulfur crystal on each thigh. You're gonna feel like you just drank a gallon of water after about 15 minutes.
Okay.
This is just something I learned just now from making up in my own mind.
And honestly, it's gonna go. We'll put it in the next book.
Please.
So I mentioned the woman who Carl Sagan cites as being responsible for it, Katrina Raphael, is known as a pioneer in the field of crystal healing. She first came onto the scene in the early 1980s, and her Crystal Trilogy, which is a series of 3 books, which are Crystal Enlightenment, Volume 1, Crystal Healing, Volume 2, and the Crystalline Transmission, Volume 3, were published between 1985 and 1989. She then came back in 2010 to publish her 4th and final book, Crystalline Illumination, and she did a lot to kind of set forth what we would consider modern crystal healing, if you want to call it that. Like these books are very important to the practice if you're into that sort of thing.
Sure.
So yet again, Christina Raphael probably will get her own episode at some point, because the websites that I found related to her books were interesting, and I kind of want to look into all of these people more. So you'll probably hear more about her in the future.
Is she still alive?
She also, as far as I know, yeah. I honestly don't know for sure. I didn't check into the modern era. The last place I saw was that book in 2010. So we could check,
Okay, yeah.
But she also is one of the earliest ones in 1998 to begin training teachers to provide crystal healing certification. So she wrote the book on it, and then she also kind of set up the structure of like teaching people to be teachers of the thing, set up the, for lack of a better, more forgiving word, the Ponzi scheme of this whole thing, where you all start,
Sure.
you go out and you make new people to make new people to make new people to make new people, yeah. So she's one of the big ones. And then finally, Melody. So Melody is responsible for the Association of Melody Crystal Healers, which is another large organization, larger-ish organization in the world of crystal healing and New Age belief systems. She also wrote the book Love is in the Earth, the Crystal and Mineral Encyclopedia, The Light Fantastic, and The Last Testament. And she also, starting in 1997, so she actually beat Katrina by a year. She started to teach other courses to the point where now, she has like, there's a whole organization that offers courses and consultations,
Right.
and the business aspect of it is out there now. But she also is. She kind of expanded it because her claim to fame is in that book, The Loves in the Earth. She cataloged more than 700 different minerals and their properties and their uses. So she kind of expanded the toolkit of crystal healing, so to speak. Yeah. Now, there's a whole other thing that I'll save this for another episode. There's this whole thing about a historical figure named Saint Hildegard de Bingen, who also is considered to be, in a lot of ways, the quote patron saint of crystal healers. But that also could be its own episode. So we'll put a pin in Hildegard de Bingen.
I can't believe you're able to barrel through that name without a little chuckle like me, because
Look,
God knows I wouldn't be able to do it.
I've read it probably 50 times
Sure.
over the last day and a half. So it kind of does get desensitized after a little bit, but it does feel good to say. I haven't said it before now.
I mean, your tongue is fucking bouncing around in your mouth when you say that one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Go ahead and give me a Saint Hildegard de Bingen.
Saint Hildegard de Bingen.
Yeah. It's good,
Saint
isn't it?
Hildegard de Bingen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about old Hildy at some point here. So I figured, what better way to end this episode and to kind of wrap us up than to go through a couple crystals and talk about their uses and, just kind of look at some of the practicalities of this,
Yeah. This is gonna upset me, but go ahead.
Okay. So I found a website that gave us 5 different recommended crystals for beginners. So I figured, since we're both beginners, that's kind of a good place to start. So, number 1, we both should check out clear quartz. That's the big one. It's known as the, quote, master healer. It's a great all-purpose crystal. It can be programmed with any intention and is ideal for beginners who want to explore the basics of crystal healing. So it seems to be kind of an all-purpose, Swiss Army knife of a crystal. It can do a little bit of everything.
Totally out of curiosity here, is programming your wording or theirs?
It can be programmed with any intention is an exact phrase I found on crystal websites.
Beautiful. I love that they're using words that sound like computers for this.
Yeah. Well, because it's all about setting your intention and pushing your intention into the world, and so yeah, that's one of the things. Then we have for number 2, if we're gonna our top 5 crystals, we got amethyst. Amethyst is a calming stone that is perfect for those looking to reduce stress or improve their sleep. This also makes it a great crystal for both meditation and spiritual growth.
It's a good
so
crystal
if you like
centered. Purple. It's like a nice purple color. So that would be my use for it. I wanted something cool and purple here.
Okay. Well, then maybe also, I honestly forget exactly what color this one looks like. I've got pictures here, so give me 1 second. Because I think this one is also kind of purpley. Rose quartz. No, it's kind of pink.
Rose quartz, that's going to be like a pink color.
Yeah. So rose quartz is really good for emotional healing and fostering self-love. So maybe that's what you need to look into. If we're talking about self-love.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I need to. Fuck you.
No, I meant you were talking about jerking off earlier.
Oh,
Self-love is a fucking euphemism. I'm not coming at you.
I'm sorry. I thought you were like. You can see how I can misconstrue that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really need to work on yourself to get into the crystal program, I think. I'm sensing negative energies from you, and you need maybe some rose quartz in your life.
I'm gonna use clear quartz to deal with that energy.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll use some amethyst to calm down. So yeah, that one. Rose quartz has gentle energy that makes it suitable for beginners. Number 4 is going to be citrine. For those seeking positivity and abundance, citrine is a wonderful option. It has uplifting energy and is often used to attract success and creativity. How do you feel about that one?
That one...
The citrine one you like?
That one's the one they're actually correct about. That one's true.
Another. I have another graphic here that has some thoughts on these same. So citrine here says diminishes self-destructive tendencies by raising self-esteem. Good for overall emotional well-being.
Gonna need one of those after this episode too.
Yeah. And then finally, black tourmaline is the last crystal that's great for beginners, because this one is good for protection and grounding. It's a must-have, it says here, and it's particularly useful for shielding against negative energy. So when I came at you earlier, you should have gotten some black tourmaline to kind of knock that shit out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting depressed.
Let's see. Do any of these say anything about depression? Well, here, agate is believed to help ease painful conditions such as bruises, strains, and sprains. So maybe put that on your wrist.
They really gotta do crystal healers come up with like snappy, like you're essentially in, like, this is a business, right? You like this is like cottage industry shit. So you could probably advertise crystals with a nice snappy advertising phrase. So, you got a soreness, you got pain, snag it with agate. You know?
Here's I want you to put a pin in that thought for now, because I think that that's something that you might want to talk about for our big question.
Oh,
so,
okay.
We'll keep that thought in mind, because I think catchphrases and like snappy
Slogans.
Advertising for these things is something that could be helpful for that. So
Okay.
we will talk about that in just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to the end of this. I was kind of both. I wasn't surprised, but I was slightly disappointed that this is as far back as crystal healing goes. I really thought that maybe, like 1800s or something would be where it would end up. But anytime something like this that really is so steeped in trying to like channel ancient divinity, turns out to come from within the last 50 years.
When
when
a new age thing claims to have ancient origins, you have to immediately assume this is like 40 to 60 years old.
Yeah.
That's been true pretty much across the board with this stuff. Like, I mean, again, I'm thinking back to the fact that the flat earth thing, humanity has known about that for a long time. We have known the planet has been round for a long time. But the people who want to sell you the idea want to tell you that it's a part of human history a lot longer than it actually is.
Yeah.
And somehow that idea sticks. Like, people actually will tell you that. People who aren't flat earthers will agree with that until you show them, hey, by the way, this is not true.
Yeah. Look, flat earth is such a... that's such an appeal to antiquity thing, where you're right that it is so much more of a recent idea than people want to give it credit for. This is the exact same thing. Everyone cites ancient Egypt because everyone thinks that ancient Egypt had like magic that we don't understand to this. Like, people still think that we don't know how they built the pyramids.
Right.
And because of that fact, everyone is just predisposed to think that they had some untapped knowledge that we have yet to recreate, and that is such a fertile breeding ground for just made up shit to come out, Yeah.
Now, can you tell me what crystal would help me, generate a fertile breeding ground? I'm actually, I regretted that as soon as I said it.
Yeah,
I was trying.
But
I was
it would
trying
be really
to
fun if I had like a good one to go with here.
I mean, you could make it up because that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but I like to make it up by
an informed making it up.
Yeah, I don't want to step on any toes here. I'm looking through. There's a list here, and this list does not have nearly enough crystals on it. It only has like 20, and.
There's more than 20.
Here we
crystals?
go. I'm going to go with red. I'm going to go with red jasper here.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to grounds and stabilizes, offering balance amid life's chaos. It inspires courage and resilience in challenging situation. Peace and completeness come from this stone. So I think that like that
would provide
that
me
is a good
the courage to do what I must do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're gonna go
Cool.
with.
Thank you for that.
Oh, here we go. What about Praesiolite, which is it's often forgotten about in the gem world. Its peaceful energy makes you more creative and helps you connect with your better self. This makes it a secret gem for making choices and growing as a person.
Okay. That's okay.
How do you feel about that one?
I like it. I don't know
what's your Praesiolite take?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether I would like instantly be like, "Oh, that's going to help me breed."
But like I figured, connecting with your best self is a good starting place for entering into that kind of stuff.
So what I'm getting from that is that, Nile, you picture the best version of me, my best self, as
it's going yard,
being fertile, like having like a bunch of children. Which, by the way, listener, if you didn't know, you make those with sex.
All right. So, well, let's go ahead and get to. Are you ready for a big question?
Yeah.
Before we get
sure.
any more blue
I'm
here.
sorry, I just had to take.
When
I
say blue, I'm not talking about lapis lazuli.
That's good. I like that. I'm sorry.
Larimar.
You had to have known that the crystal stuff would have put me in the mindset of the Jo crystal. Like
totally.
You had to have known.
I knew. Look, I was fully prepared for that to be where you went, and that's why I wanted to get it out the way that that's not specifically what we're talking about today, because I like people like there's enough people who I think are mostly rational and like good. Like there are people that I like that have some inkling about crystals, and I didn't want to totally like dunk on them in any way, because I think it's pretty harmless as long as you do it to a reasonable degree, and don't like forego actual medicine for it. So yeah. Anyway, big question.
It's an idea. It's an idea that makes me nervous. That's all.
You're totally fine, because to a certain degree, I don't find it any different than having a Himalayan salt lamp, which doesn't actually do anything other than the one that my grandma bought actually got recalled for faulty wiring and was burning people's houses down, which is not a calming effect. But
no, probably not.
Largely whatever. It's anyway. So big question time. Kyle.
Yeah.
What is the next big thing in crystals? How can we modernize these stones to bring in the next generation of crystal healing lovers?
That's so hard, because I really think it is like, I think a lot of my understanding of like things being popular is either like media, right? Or just like people talking online, what trends, whatever. Like I'm pretty tapped into that stuff. And I gotta be honest with you. I know I kept making jokes about it, but I think that if you were to be like, are you familiar with the power of crystals, to like somebody online, most of the time you will run into somebody who will make a joke about like Jo crystals, like crystals for jerking off, right? Like, I think that, but I that's not exactly your question, but I do think
not
that
exactly.
like, I think that like, I guess my point was that jerk off crystals is kind of been the avenue to make the idea popular online,
well, because it's kind of a cellar door-esque phrase where it just, I do think that to a point, branding is a part of that.
Yeah.
Because like jerk off crystals is a funny thing to say, and it's very memorable. It sticks in your brain.
Yeah.
And
jerking off is hilarious.
Yeah, and like people are largely uncomfortable with sex, so it's a good thing for jokes. And so especially with how a lot of Gen Z is, some of them are leaning a bit more puritanical than we would hope. Maybe that's or Gen Y, whatever the fuck. Gen
Whatever.
Alpha.
Yeah, whatever they are.
then maybe that's a good place to start.
Okay.
You know?
So for whatever reason, my mind went back to the era of Pokemon becoming very popular, and my mind, I was thinking, cool shapes that are related to a phenomenon and sort of like basically getting to hold hands with the popularity of the main thing, if that makes sense. And I instantly thought of how back in the day they would have those like XL bouncy balls with little Pokemon in them.
Yeah.
You remember those?
I do. I had some of them.
Now here's the thing. When I was a kid, I didn't care so much.
You cut that bad boy open,
Yeah, I didn't
right?
care so much about the ball itself. I was interested in the little Pokemon toy that was inside of it.
You could say, as a kid, you didn't know ball.
That's what I still don't know ball, frankly. So here's my suggestion, and I'm going to try and synthesize some ideas that were, being put out there in the last couple minutes. What if we did Pokemon in the crystal type trick, like a trick like that? I don't know why I'm calling it a trick.
Yeah,
like a.
Well, look, you're just calling it what it is. Marketing is just tricks.
That's true. But people are going to want to get inside there. And I also think that because we have this sexual association with crystals, with, the way they're popularized online, and in my own mind, what if...
Yeah, I think you're kind of over-indexed on that one compared to some people.
You're probably right.
That's fine.
You're probably right. So how about this? We develop crystals that you can, like, take apart and put back together, and they're hollowed out in the center, and in the center they have various sexual things. You could get like, oh, this is the crystal condom pack. I need to have the crystal for my sexual vitality, and I'm going to charge my, genital chakra or whatever that is with the crystal, and the crystal also comes with the things that I need to fuck, which is condoms.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be condoms. It could be like
when you first brought up Pokemon, my brain went in an entirely different direction where I thought you were going to implement a sort of gotcha system
that could be good.
for, you have to blind box open crystals. And so you get this kind of like, chase crystal stuff going on. You get these kind of, and they can be like on keychains that you hang on, whatever the fuck. People like, phone keychains and shit now. But that I wasn't expecting you to go for like make crystals into boxes for sexual paraphernalia.
Okay.
That's interesting.
No, that's I mean, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I was trying to extrapolate from the idea of like a thing inside another thing that you want to open up, and like, you could make crystals sort of like you could mechanically design them to just like sort of open up, and voila, in there is your big old thing of sexual beads that you can use.
So these are going to be big. These are pretty large crystals.
Yeah. This is like nightstand I guess what I'm doing. This is probably a thing, honestly, is like a crystal box that you can open up. It's like what if you wanted a box to be really expensive?
Yeah, what if you want a box to be not super easy to use and also quite expensive?
Again, you have to think about the fact that you have the benefit of like energy healing or whatever the fuck. Like that's
sure.
The added benefit. That's where your money's going, is to that extra. So I think this would be a very popular way to promote safe sex.
Okay.
Condoms, lube, dental dams.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I look, I think that's just swell.
Thank you.
I was going to take a slightly different tack, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because I think that one of the best things you can do to kind of try to get a younger generation to get into something is to have an older generation yell about it as a negative. So I think what I want to do is just pay like, 40 plus people, like people who are 40 plus, not that number of people, to kind of make fun of and get mad about crystals on social media.
Okay.
And so we're going to kind of like do a reverse psychology astroturfing.
I didn't know I was going to be able to get paid. I've been doing that shit for free. So if somebody can pay me to do that, that would be awesome, honestly. And I'll happily astroturf the shit out of crystal energy healing. Like,
yeah. So I think like as more people are decrying it out into the world, it'll start to become cooler for the younger generations as sort of a rebellion against those that came before them, which is like that's how you start a youth movement. You know, you gotta get the parents yelling about it being stupid and worthless and not worth time and everything, and then the kids will want to spend all of their lunch money on crystals.
I can like role play as a dad.
Hey, yeah, I think I think that's a good midlife kind of pivot for you on social media, is just to make like a dad character that you portray. I think that'd be a good way to go.
So let me come up with like an idea for a post that would like work for this campaign you just described. Out here on the back porch, which I just built, in my socks and sandals, yes, I'm grilling brats, and yes, I did bring my you wanted me to say that crystals are stupid, and yes, I did destroy that stupid crystal that was tormenting me with curses.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is a dad who
that's exactly what I'm
built
looking
a
for.
porch, went outside to grill in his sandals and socks, was being tormented by an energy crystal, and destroyed it. And thus destroying the soul of the wizard that was trapped inside as well. That's sort of implicit. That's not in the actual
onto the mortal plane.
Yeah, that's not in the actual text. So cool. That I like it. I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry I had to go with the sex direction, but I really it's the same thing in my mind. It's all.
Yeah, it really is find replace in your brain. Anything to do with crystals is immediately about jerk off crystals.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that's what the internet does to minds, you know?
Yeah, it breaks them irreparably. I will say though, like if you don't know what I'm talking about, the J.O. Crystal post, look it up. It's a funny post. That's why my recommendation this week is the J.O. Crystal Craigslist post. Thank you.
There you go.
What's your recommendation this week? And then we can
my recommendation this week is garnet, which is it's an exquisite stone that's said to be therapeutic in times of trauma. So if you keep it close to the skin, it's going to help kind of alleviate the trauma. So I think garnet is going to be my recommendation this week.
Cool. Thank you. You want to take care of some business?
Yeah. So if you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're almost certainly there.
Twitch.tv/ItGetsWeird. I've been streaming Pokemon Fire Red Nuzlocke with friend of the show, Colin. We're on Blue Sky also at It Gets Weird. So check it out there. That's a cool spot. I've been in communication with some listeners on there too. It's a good spot to follow us and get in contact, especially on this sort of ground floor, if you will. Email us at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. Email us Australia facts. Email telling me why I'm wrong and that crystal energy healing is real. And go ahead and send me some cool scientific facts about why it's actually real. Go ahead and hit up our email. This is I don't know why I'm so antagonistic and going for a provocation here, but also
you started the episode by saying that's how it was going to be, so I think
fair.
if you're still around here, you should be expecting
that's fair. I got the crystal community would not like me.
Yeah, I'll handle the inquiries from the crystal community.
Thank
not
you.
that I'm not pro. But I don't have
not as aggressive.
It
as
didn't
me.
have. Yeah, I don't have a personal connection.
That's fair. Or you could also just email us to tell us a cool story. We've had a lot of. Actually, now should I pitch the thing that I was talking to you about here? Would you want me to? You can also edit this out if you don't want me to.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, so we were thinking. So I may have run across a couple emails that we somehow I don't know how they slipped through the cracks, but we just didn't. We didn't actually read these on the show, and they're older emails. And I'm sorry that we missed you. Genuinely, we that was never intentional. So one of the things we're thinking about doing is a sort of listener email, like mailbag episode. Obviously, this would require like a handful of emails for us to go through. So if you've ever wanted to just be like, hey, I have a question for the weird crew or a prompt or whatever, or just something I want to send in for them to discuss, please go ahead and send it in. We might do a mailbag episode sometime in the future, and if it works out and we get like regular emails from people like that, it might be a regular thing. We'll see. This is
we'll see how it goes.
Totally theoretical episode idea. So, but hit us up, let us know what you think, and send us some stuff in our email. itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. But if you want to support the show, and I know you do, I know if you're listening this far, I know you want to support us, check out patreon.com/itgetsweird. We have a $1 tier, a $2 tier, and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is just the tier where you're giving us a tip saying, hey, thanks for doing what you do, here's $1. At the $2 tier, you're going to get bonus content, though. That is It Gets Weird TV. Nile and I are watching The X-Files Season 3, and we discuss it. We discuss weird television. It's a lot of fun. There's a huge back catalog. So go ahead and check out the $2 tier. But the most bang for your buck is at the $5 tier, where you're going to get episodes in the off week of It Gets Weird TV, where Nile and I are doing World of Weird. It's kind of a show where we just talk about, it's a variety show. We talk about whatever the hell we want on those episodes. It's a lot of fun. And again, at the $5 tier, you're going to get every single bonus content thing we've ever put out, which is apparently a lot of things. I was just looking at the list of episodes on the bonus stuff on our Patreon, and it is hundreds of episodes of just shit to listen to. So please check it out. Highly recommend the $5 tier. But whether you donate to the $2 tier or the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday on your own private Patreon feed. And you get access to the Discord where we're hanging out, chatting with our listeners, just like you right now. We talk about all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So check it out. Please donate. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. But if you can't donate, if money's tight, we understand. But the best thing you could do for us is word of mouth. Let people know about us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird podcast.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for continuing to support the show. This has been It Gets Weird, and I've been Nile.
And I'm Kyle, signing out.
Peace.